But what if they leave the door open? And what I mean by that is if you look at 2B on page 7, they send you an application that kind of looks like this one. There's nothing. Or maybe it's just one, like they gave you ethnicity and sex, but not race, or they didn't give you sex and they gave you, you don't have all three or any of the three. And you'll notice at the bottom of the application, it says that it was mailed in or faxed in, or maybe it was email or internet. But the point is, they didn't confirm, I do not wish. If it was on the phone, you'd probably hear them say, I don't care to, and then you'd mark those 3 boxes and we're done. But here, you didn't have that dialogue. This is where it gets really confusing. Look at 2B on page 7. It says not confirmed. And what it tells you is if you ever meet with them during the application process. Now, that's a new word. We haven't talked about that yet. We had initial application. I told you there was no definition of completed application. So here they're using this, if in the application process, if you see them, then you're supposed to pull this out and say, hey, you didn't fill this information out for us, and you didn't say you don't want to, so I have to make this request again. If you read through that, that's what it's saying. And notice B1 says you must request it. Now, go down to B2, it says, if you are outside of the application process or the application process is complete. Now, is that the definition of a completed application? And it's different wording. And when this regulation first came out, I actually had several conversations with the CFPB about what do you mean by this? And what they said was, we're trying not to define completed app because the law doesn't, the reg doesn't. We're trying to say, if you feel like the application process is complete, then you don't have to do this. But up until that point, B1 says you do. So read that comment very close. So that Appendix B in B2, in about the middle of the page 7 there, it says after the application process is complete, for example, at the closing table, please pick up your pens and write this down. Never, ever, don't collect this information at closing. Trust me on this one. If you're doing this at the closing table, then you are getting this ethnicity, race, and sex on closed loans, but you're not getting it on your withdrawals, your denials, your incompletes, your approved not accepted. You're skewing your information for closed loans versus non-closed. And I'm telling you, that hurts. You do not want to do that. Trust me, every fair lender exam in the world will tell you the same thing. If you're collecting it at the closing table, then you're skewing the information in a bad way. It's not in your favor. Don't do that. So if I was the king of your bank, and I know I'm not, I'm just saying we try to collect it at application. If we don't see them during the application process, I hate that, but we do. That's what 2B says. But once we're through the application process, we are never going to ask somebody for their ethnicity, race, and sex. We're not going to do it at the closing table.